Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1.
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it's so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into Testosterone Tuesday. I'm going to take these glasses off. I'm going to do Testosterone Tuesday, for God's sakes. Yes, we've got a very powerful show for you today, as we usually do. Scott Reynolds is going to join us at 10:30 from the Pewter Report. We're going to do a little Bucks mock draft. They've done a bunch of them to see where the Bucks will be going, their needs, what may fall to them. Are they moving up? Answer is yes. So we'll talk some Bucks draft just 2 weeks away, from the draft. Johnny Gerber, our PGA pro and betting aficionado, will join us to give you some Masters bets to make things a little bit more interesting during Masters week. I cannot wait. Had Ann Ligori on yesterday live from Augusta. So we'll be doing lots of Masters coverage all week long. Chris Lugo will join us at 11:30. It's Testosterone Tuesday, so we got to have Chris on the show. And TJ Reeves will join us from Phoenix, where he was at the Final Four last night for the UConn blowout. So that's a show. Tim Ham, IndyCar Tim, joining me from our Dallas affiliate, filled in so admirably for me last week while I could get a few runs on the slope. Thank you very much, my friend. How are you?
I'm kind of shocked you still have a show, JP, after the fiasco, the John and Tim show last Tuesday, and then the last
the numbers went through the roof, bro. The numbers went through the roof. It's fantastic. I don't know what kind of nudity you had on the show, but
well, I did the
numbers
second hour
through the roof.
I did the second hour Tuesday without a shirt, so you know.
Well, okay. So that
I also moved the camera so you can only see me like this right here. So
that describes the comments then that I saw.
Oh my gosh! You know what?
Well, I didn't get to hear the Rashee Rice story.
Oh man.
That you saw him running down some Dallas freeway at 150 miles an hour.
Dude, yeah, I saw the race, and then I rolled up on the carnage afterwards. No idea who it was, but I remember making the comment to my buddy in the car. I was like, yeah, that's probably a cowboy or somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, you knew.
Yeah.
A Lamborghini and a Corvette racing, of course, and in Dallas, that's what it's going to be. And
probably going to be a cowboy, yeah.
Probably going to be a cowboy. Well, we were close. It was an SMU Mustang. A Kansas City Chief, which, hey, there's discussions. I don't know if this is national news or not, but it's huge local. The mayor of Dallas is trying to get the Chiefs to move back to Dallas since they can't get their stadium deal done. Have you heard this? Oh, no, this is a real thing. This is a real.
Come on.
I mean, it'll never happen, but it's fun to talk about, and.
Well, there's got to be. That's probably the easiest way for you to get another Super Bowl in Dallas.
And the quickest.
And the only way to get the Super Bowl in Dallas.
It's the quickest for sure.
Yeah, that's the bet. You could build a stadium and move the Chiefs there faster than the Cowboys are going to win another one. I think that's fair. That's fair to say.
Man, I would love to see the Chiefs commit to moving back to Dallas.
It probably costs less.
I would love to see them move back to Dallas, play in Jerry Stadium, and share the stadium with the Cowboys, like the Giants and the Jets do, and the Rams and the Chargers. And then the Chiefs bring a Super Bowl back to Dallas before the Cowboys
God. Do. Yeah. Well, I mean, are they really wasting government resources on this nonsense?
Apparently, it's Dallas, man. You just don't know. You have no idea. It's what we do around here.
Jerry Jones, though, that's just
man, and it's he's published reports from the city about how the area can support 2 NFL teams, how it would even benefit Jerry and the Cowboys in the long run.
Yeah, I guess you would. Yeah, because I have a tenant there at the stadium.
Yeah. I mean, there would be there's some in-depth stuff going on, and as a football fan, because I've always wanted 2 major league teams here. I always wanted the Rangers, and I always wanted a National League team here. I always thought we could support 2, but man, to have two football teams here, 2 NFL teams, that would be kind of cool. They got
it makes more sense than having 2 in LA. Nobody gives a rat's ass about football in LA.
Yeah,
they don't care about sports in California. They just don't. The Chargers have no fan base there. To speak of. Tell the Rams barely have a fan base there, and they've been there for a while, off and on.
I mean, that's why they left the first time.
Right, exactly. Nobody cares. So Dallas would be a much better place for 2 teams than the Chargers should move to freaking Dallas.
Right.
And play in that stadium. That would be smarter. But, I don't – it's never going to happen. Kansas City's never going to lose to Chiefs, especially now. But And how they can't get a stadium done in Kansas City?
They weren't even asking for a new stadium. They were asking for renovations to Arrowhead, and they turned it down. They got voted down. Like
Wow.
It wasn't. I don't know what the numbers were, what the specs were on it. I didn't investigate that in depth, but it wasn't even for a new stadium. It was for renovations.
And is there any team hotter in football than the Chiefs?
No.
Like that's where we're at, I think, in terms of if you put anything to a vote, like this Rays Stadium. If you put this Rays Stadium to a vote, it would be 80% no. We already know that because the League of Women Voters did a study.
Right.
The Times has not done a study. The Times has not done a poll, which you would think they would, but they don't want to do that because Stu wouldn't like that because
Right.
they'd see that it's about 80% negative. They even voted down a straw poll. So they were going to just, hey, on this last ballot that they just had an election, they said just a straw poll. It's non-binding. We would just like to see where the heads out for the folks in Pinellas County and the city of St. Pete. And the council said, no, we don't want to hear from the public because we got a boondoggle. We're all getting paid off, and we just want to get to ram this through so we can all get our luxury box and whatever else is coming with it. And then they'll all be voted out of office when everybody sees the real numbers, just like happened in Miami. We're going to make the same mistake that they did in Miami. It's not over yet. In fact, there's a hearing this morning that started at 9:30 for public comment. And I'll be very interested. I'm sure the Rays will organize some business folks to come in there and speak, but I'll be interested to see what the organic negative is about this. Because at every poll you can see, or at every data point, if the Times puts a story on Instagram about the stadium, 90% of the comments are negative. They don't put comments on their website anymore because people trash the Times, or they get real input from the masses of voices that usually disagree with whatever's in the story. So they stopped doing that. It's wherever you can get an organic reaction to this, it's usually 80 or 90% negative.
Right.
The only thing saving grace now for people on the stadium in terms of being positive about it is I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm tired of it. If you're going to build something, just freaking build it. We don't care how many billions you're going to give away to the owner. Just do it. Right. And I get that because if you're a baseball fan, you don't want them to leave. You still are feeling that false narrative that if they don't get this done, that they will leave. And here's the other thing. Somebody, I think it was Buster Olney, who did a tweet about the Oakland situation, because that Vegas deal is not going to happen. Like, they announced they're moving to Vegas, and the Vegas deal is not. When I was in Vegas talking to people, and they're like, no, we don't want baseball. We got hockey and we got football. We don't want baseball. It's hot in the summer. We don't even want to leave our houses. Yeah. Like, I don't know how they're going to build it. There's not, the fan, but that's not a big market. People think it's a big market. It's not. There's not a whole lot of people, a population. Now, people come in and out. Obviously, it's a very transient and will people, drop into a baseball game? Yeah, probably they will, but not to the degree that they do the Golden Knights. Now, the Golden Knights has a home fan base. Yeah. Most of the Golden Knights fan base is Las Vegas because it's their first and they love it. And then the Raiders are kind of hey, that's fun. The NFL's here, we'll go. But most of those are corporate boxes and corporate tickets that are given away to gamblers. So, and to do another team in that market that has 81 home games, there's no. And this is why the Vegas politicians are like, look, we're spending gazillions of money on F1. Like, we don't have the money. We don't have the money to build this freaking stadium.
Yep.
So what a disaster this is for Major League Baseball. And now the A's are moving to Sacramento to play in a AAA stadium.
And
it's all
seasons.
because of, and you know why? It's because of the owner. The owner has not bargained in good faith with the city of Oakland. In fact, they got to the finish line of doing a deal in their new waterfront development, and the dude, just like Sternberg, yanked the deal because it wasn't enough corporate welfare for him. He did the same thing. Yeah. And I said, this is not a stadium problem. This is not a public money problem. This is an ownership problem. For God's sakes, Rob Manfred, why don't you understand that? Get rid of that a-hole in Oakland, John Fisher, okay? Put in somebody that actually cares about the team locally. You can find people to do that. Same thing here. Get rid of Stu Sternberg. There's two groups in line that want to build a stadium in Tampa that want to buy the team. He'll make over $1.5 billion in his investment. Just freaking make it happen, Rob Manfred, and you'd have a deal done, and you'd already have a deal done in Tampa. But instead we're going to go through this dog and pony show in St. Petersburg, where if and when the council and the commission realizes they still don't have the final numbers, but when they do realize that it's going to be $2.4 billion in local revenue, most of that coming from bed tax and other places. And that's not just cost, but that's what you could be making on that redevelopment site in Tropicana Field without a baseball stadium. I don't know how they can vote yes. And if they do vote yes, the same thing will happen to the people that did that in Miami. Their political careers will be over, because once you start building it and you get the real numbers and see how the real cost is, that's when and the whole deal is just, it's such a hodgepodge of BS that it doesn't, for affordable housing and all, trying to make these equitable things for the Black community that was transplanted. These things that you're building aren't helping the Black community as much as you could if you developed the area in the correct way, took that money and built huge affordable housing places in other places, which would be more beneficial for the people. Now, for your public image as the mayor, and we don't lose the raise, and look, I'm putting affordable housing in here. It sounds kind of nice, but the whole application of it from a development standpoint is ridiculous, as opposed to using some other land in Tampa that is more accessible in terms of fans, that's more accessible in terms of roads, that's in the population center, and all these things where it should be where your fans are. If you want to serve your fans, which 80% of the fans wanted in Tampa, it's a no-brainer. But here we are, and there they are in Oakland. And Bob Manfred keeps bitching about his stadium situation. It's an ownership problem. Get rid of these bad owners, these selfish, greedy owners, and you won't have a problem. The Braves got their freaking stadium done in 3 years. And look how awesome that is.
Yep.
That whole situation, a true public-private partnership that has made tens of millions of dollars for Cobb County schools, by the way.
It's in the right place.
Exactly. And revitalized. The development in Cobb County is off the freaking charts because of this Braves deal.
Yeah.
They built 10 new office buildings there. What kind of tax money is that bringing in? You can do it the right way. And, the deal in Tampa is still on the table, where you can be a true public-private partnership where you pay as you go, just like they did in Atlanta. Every quarter, a quarter from every hot dog, from every beer that's sold in the Battery area, all those goes towards the stadium. And then it's going into the public coffers as well. This deal in St. Pete, the public gets nothing, like squadouche. It all goes in Sternberg's pocket. And you're selling this incredible real estate, this generational opportunity you have to sell this real estate and really beautify St. Pete. You're selling it at pennies on the dollar to a billionaire who's probably just going to sell it off the Heinz and do whatever the hell they want. And there's no insurances in this contract that they can't just pick up and leave town. Yep. It's the worst deal ever. It's so bad for St. Pete. So we'll see what the comments are, this morning. In there. All right, let's get to the actual baseball team. Not much better.
The A's or the Rays?
I haven't even looked at the A's.
It's bad. And you're not to dwell on this too long. When they moved to Sacramento for 2 years, they're not going to be the Sacramento A's. They're just going to be called the A's or the Athletics. They will have no city designation or city identity involved or identified with them. And
that's a great idea.
The site of the right that'll endear you to the city, right? Yeah, and then the location in Las Vegas where they're supposed to build the stadium, which is the site of the Tropicana, which has been there since 1957. It's a landmark casino. It closed on the 2nd of this month permanently. They're tearing it down. That's where the new stadium's supposed to go. JP, their new stadium that they're building, their $1.5 billion stadium, only has 33,000 seats. Isn't that almost an admission that, we know we're not going to get a ton of support, so we're only going to put 33,000 seats in the stadium?
Well, I think baseball's trending towards smaller stadiums and more, and I'm sure 33,000 seats, but Probably 17,000 of those are going to be in luxury boxes or premium seating areas, which is where all stadiums are going now. Like they're even doing it at FSU now. Less seats, bigger money people up close where they can, they get the prime seats. Yep. So I get it. But just like, again, you're going to build a baseball stadium there, and will it get the support? I doubt it. I doubt very seriously, because the locals are not going to, they're not, summertime.
It's hot, dude. It is hot.
Dude, like, how are they even going to air condition that thing? I mean, I guess they do it with the casinos, right? But it's a much higher roof, right?
Yeah. It's a lot more air, a lot more cubic feet of air.
If Fisher still owns the team, the air conditioning bill will be more than the payroll.
Oh my gosh, right?
Which I think would probably be true. All right. Well, the Rays yesterday, the Angels, I'm not sure they're a juggernaut team, but Mike Trout is Mike Trout, and he triples in 2 to begin the game off of Eflin, then hits a 438-foot homer. And you say to yourself, if you're a Rays fan, you're like, man, wouldn't it be great to have a player like that? Wouldn't it be great to have a player that's just transcendent? And we might have had one in Wander Franco, but no, we can't have nice things. Wouldn't it be awesome to have a bat in the middle of your lineup that is so feared like that? I don't think the Rays have ever. But you go back to maybe Carlos Pena when he was red hot hitting home runs. I mean, I don't know if they've ever had a big, a big bat like that is a superstar. And you say Yandy Diaz, he won the batting title and all those things, but Yandy Diaz scaring people, and was he gonna hit a single the opposite way? Good for you. Yeah. I don't mean to demean Yandy Diaz, but he's not a superstar. He's not. People act like he's this dominant hitter. Yes, he is the batting champion, and that's great. Now, if you had some power hitters around him, you'd have an offense. But this offense looks absolutely anemic, except for a couple of incredible rallies that they've had that have won them a couple of games. I mean, this team is 5-6, could easily be, have 2 or 3 wins, and it would look really, really ugly. So yeah, I mean, we're, without Josh Lowe in there, without going out and getting a big bat in the off season, you're kind of screwed. And this offense is, and again, the Rays are boring, man. I tried to watch a little bit of that last night, and it's like, I got a national championship game on, which we'll talk about here in a second, but it's bad. It's hard to watch. And, if this season goes poorly, think about this, Tim. If this season goes poorly, and I think it might, by the way, you're gonna be sitting there with you, and if these people actually, when they finally get the numbers, they actually vote for this, and they're gonna put $2.4 billion of public money into a team at the end of this year in September. If they're out of it, there may be like 5 people in Tropicana Field all working. That's it. I mean, there'd be nobody there because there's no reason to go, and there's no reason to drive that far, and there's no reason to stay on. It's going to be bad, and it's going to look really bad. The playoff games look bad enough. Yeah. Worst attended playoff games in history. And everybody's, it's in the middle of the day. I don't care. Doesn't happen in other places. Other places have school. Other places have work. Other places get, late afternoon, a notification late, and these fans find a way to get there, but not here because of the freaking location. And we're going to build a stadium right next to it. Whatever. I don't even it's hard to even talk about the team when you're going through this because it's not long-term if they do this crazy stuff, but we'll see. All right. So the national championship game last night, thank you, UConn, for that nice deposit in my bank account. As we told you yesterday, I thought the matchup looked a lot like the women's matchup where you had one team that was so reliant on one player. And then when you come up against an elite team that is super well coached and super deep and executes on both ends of the floor like they do, UConn, you're going to get blown out. Because early on, I'm like, okay, Edie's getting his, but those shots are tough. That's not going to sustain itself through the game. There's no way. He doesn't have the energy. That's going to be tough. And UConn, threw a couple different defenders at him, used up all their fouls, make sure that they were going to, beat up Zach Edey and let the other guys beat him. And they couldn't do it. And that UConn team is deep. That kid Spencer was fantastic last night.
Mm-hmm.
They've got so many good, and just across the board, that team is so freaking good. And to me, it was just a foregone conclusion. The 7 points, I laid 7 points, so I thought, man, there might be a backdoor cover, but it was just the second half was just an absolute beatdown of Purdue, and tip the cap to UConn. Now, what's interesting is the Kentucky job is still open. And Danny Hurley was asked about that last night. And he's a New Jersey kid. He's a Northeast Corridor guy. The whole family is, his dad coached in New Jersey forever. We're talking about Kentucky. And the problem is UConn has no idea what conference they're going to be in. Like, where are they going? When the whole shift happens, where is the UConn athletic program? I mean, are they just going to get rid of football? Are they just going to have basketball? Is that self-sustaining? What league are you playing in? Whereas you go to Kentucky, you're pretty sure where you're going to be. The SEC ain't going anywhere. And the SEC, frankly, in basketball is about as good a conference as there is. I mean, it just is. They didn't do so well in necessarily in the tournament, but that's really, really good basketball.
Alabama had a really good run.
Yeah, they did. Auburn, Alabama, Tennessee, Florida. These are all tough teams. And by the way, Bruce Pearl, Tennessee, Auburn. I bet you his agent is knocking on the door right now. And Bruce Pearl would be great in Kentucky. Strong personality. Now, Danny Hurley in Kentucky, is that a good fit? Maybe not culturally at first, but with all the resources available to him at Kentucky, I don't see how he misses there. He's just too good a coach.
And here's what Kentucky needs right now. They need a culture change in the worst possible way. Pitino was there, 15 years? Yeah, he won a title in 2012. Yay for you, right? That's exactly what you were expected to do. But, man, since then, nothing. Since 2019, 3 first-round outs, including to a 15 seed and a 14 seed?
Yeah.
Was Oakland the 14 seed this year? So, I mean, that team and recruiting has not been good. They need a culture change. They need somebody to come in, and is often the case many times when you've got a coach there that long, right, who's ran things for so long, you need somebody to come in and you need sweeping changes. And we're already seeing departures in the transfer portal from Kentucky with him gone, and who knows if some of these guys might end up in Arkansas, right, with Pitino if they're Pitino guys. That's what you would expect.
Calipari.
Calipari. Jesus, I always get those guys mixed up. I hate both of them. They're Calipari guys. I may end up in Arkansas with him, but that roster is going to dwindle here this offseason, and that's going to be that team's going to be a shell of its former self come next year. And whoever comes in needs a culture change. That team needs a culture change. That program needs a culture change.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree with that. And, Arkansas will, Musselman goes to USC.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see because Arkansas has got, obviously they got resources in terms, when you're in the SEC. They have they have a little bit of history with Nolan Richardson and that whole group winning a national championship a long time ago. But, that'll be interesting to see what Calipari does there. I don't think Calipari is, that transformative coach. I don't think he's that great. If he was, he would have. Yeah, if he was, he would have done a hell of a lot better at Kentucky.
Yeah,
you have everything. Yeah, everything is at your beck and call. So, let's see who's next. If it is Danny Hurley, I have a sense. He seems like a pretty loyal guy. A Northeastern guy. The whole family is just so connected there. I would probably doubt that he would make the move. I mean, professionally, he probably should just because of the uncertainty of where UConn's program is going.
Right.
But, maybe it's just not a good fit for him at that particular place. But we'll see where that goes. I think Bruce Pearl could be the guy, or the guy Oates at Alabama, Nate Oates. That could you imagine if they go pilfer to their basketball coach and Saban retires in the same year?
That would be nuts.
Yikes.
Bama fans
would not be.
When
Bama and I think, it's coming for the football program. You're not going to repeat what happened in the Saban years. It's
Right.
not happening. It's not with NIL, not with transfer portal. Just nobody's going to be as dominant consistently. It's going to be too hard to do. And so they've got, I'm not saying Kalen DeBoer is not a great coach. I think he's a really good coach. It's just the landscape will not allow a dominant run like Alabama had. I don't think. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. We're not going to see that again anytime soon at all. And I think that's good for the game.
Yeah.
It's good for the game.
And by the way, Bama fan, Norvell was your first choice.
Do they still not believe that?
They still don't believe it. No. I don't know what you're talking about. We wouldn't want your coach.
Well, he's pretty good. Okay. First of all,
he's pretty good.
You'd be lucky to have him.
Yeah. Yeah. And you wanted him. And he was your first choice, and you got Kalen DeBoer, which is fine. He's a good coach, and I wish Bama the best, but it's over.
I mean, he's no Jimbo Fisher.
Yeah. But I tell you what, if people, I've seen people say, well, Norvell, he hasn't won a championship yet, but he'd be just like Jimbo Fisher. He'll cut and run. I'm like, that dude is completely wired differently than selfish Jimbo Fisher. It's completely wired differently. Don't even think about it.
Man, I have zero respect for Jimbo Fisher anymore.
You should. As an A&M fan, I mean, I would have warned you when you did it. I would have warned you then. I've had personal experience with this guy, and I know plenty of people that have, and he is an egotistical, narcissistic jerk,
snake oil salesman,
but a really rich narcissistic jerk.
Because you know what? And not to get on this again, but dude, when he got here, dude, I was all about it, man. We're going to get it. We're finally going to get it natty, right? We're going to get one at College Station. I can't wait. And then just literally every year, it was the same thing. Thing. And it wore very thin on me very quickly. And, by not even his last year, by 2022, end of 2021, I was done. I'm like, okay, this is ridiculous.
And like the personal skills were just so bad. And he was just, it didn't take long for him to be hated. But y'all gave him an extension, right?
Because they didn't want him to go to LSU. Because that was everybody thought he was going to LSU. Because Scott Woodward, the AD, went to LSU, and everybody at A&M thought, they're gonna poach Jimbo to take him to LSU.
You'd have been lucky. You should have let him go.
Exactly. I'm like, why couldn't he have gone to LSU?
Yeah.
Because if that would have happened, Mike Elko was still our defensive coordinator. He probably would have been promoted at that time to the head coach from within. Because they'll just promote from within.
It would have been a great move,
or make him interim or whatever. Golly, man, what could have been?
Yeah. It's funny, and the amount of money you guys spent on that.
Ridiculous.
You think he'll ever coach again, like a major program?
Yeah, I do. I think he will. I mean, it won't be this year or next year, but I think he'll get a job at a small school and he'll win a bunch and he'll get a shot.
Really?
Like it. I think so.
We'll see.
We'll see. See, here's what I hope. I hope he gets a job somewhere like Tennessee, Chattanooga, or something like that, right? And wins a ton, and then he gets a job offer at like, I don't know, what school do I hate the most? Auburn. Maybe he gets a job offer back in the SEC at Auburn or in the Big 12, like at Texas Tech or something. It just tanks. It just loses again. Because he'll never get another big contract like that.
He won't. He doesn't need it.
He'll have to earn his money.
Yeah. All right. We are brought to you by the great folks at the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. If you have been in an accident, considering a class action lawsuit, something Scott Jeeves does very, very well. If your car has been totaled, if you have any legal questions whatsoever, get a free case evaluation at the Jeeves Law Group. Just call them up, go to the website, either email them or call them. Tell them you heard it on the JP show. They'll give you a free case evaluation and see if you have a case. And of course, if you do and they take your case, you will get great representation. That's the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Back in 3 with Scott Reynolds from the Pewter Report. Stay with us. JP here from my friends at your local Synovus Bank. And I do mean friends, and I do mean local. One of the local managers in Tampa is John Acosta, big fan of the show, and I've known him for over 40 years. He's been in local banking since 1983. You talk about developing relationships. You don't stick around for that long unless you're doing things the right way and have a great reputation. And that's the focus company-wide at Synovus. Big enough to handle any complex international transaction, but small enough to answer the phone when you have an urgent question about your business or personal account. And for personal accounts, they have a very easy app that works great. You can do everything online. And for large or small businesses, you will get that personal touch and services to help build your business, taking your dreams and aspirations from the whiteboard to reality. We can make that happen. Let us show you how. For a get-acquainted meeting to open a business or personal account, just call John or go to synovus.com to find out where your local branch is. Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset, so make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance, because if you get sued in this over-litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative, Charity, is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group, because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com. or call 813-485-6808.
With over 34 years of producing small and large events, Extravaganza Productions is truly a Tampa treasure when it comes to creating some of the very best events in Tampa and all across the United States. I've worked with them at the Florida Sports Hall of Fame inductions, the Warrior Games, which was an Olympic-sized event spread across all of Tampa Bay. They are the very best, from small meetings to exceptionally large corporate conferences to galas, fundraisers, sporting events, grand openings, whatever you want. Team EPI has an extremely talented staff of designers and show producers that develop extraordinary events fueled by the visions of their clients. You can reach them at their Tampa headquarters at 813-621-4700 or go to extravaganzaproductions.com.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on this Testosterone Tuesday. We are brought to you by the great folks, as you just heard, Extravaganza Productions, and we are presented by Hydrate Heroes, our new presenting sponsor. We love those folks. Thank you very much for joining us. Go to hydrateheroes.com to get a special offer right now. It's the best hydration drink you will ever have. It is plant-based. It's got so much good stuff in there. Not all the sugar, not all the caffeine. It's Hydrate Heroes. It's fantastic. Check it out. Got mine right here. Mine going on right there. There we go. All right, let's welcome in our good friend Scott Reynolds from the Pewter Report, who's been very busy in this off season. What's up, Scotty? How are you, my friend?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm hydrating right now.
I can tell. Yeah.
I'm hydrating too. I've got a little Irish cream in here, though.
Yeah, there you go. That's dehydration. Got caffeine in it.
Dang it.
It's Wildcat Tuesday. I've got my K-State.
Wildcat Tuesday. Yeah. Very nice.
Yeah. I mean,
I know what you're drinking, but you can't say it on my show. That's fine. I know what you're
It's water. It's a little early, JP. It's not 11 o'clock yet. It's only 10:30. Come on.
Wait, what's 9:30 in my house?
I was thinking of something else that wasn't alcohol related, but we'll leave it at that.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Well, how
Yeah,
are you?
I got
How are you, my friend? The draft
Doing
coming
well.
up. You guys
Yeah.
have been very busy with your mock drafts,
Yeah.
as everybody has been.
We have a new one coming out tomorrow.
Seeing that name around the national mock drafts, Chop Robinson.
Yeah.
You guys not so keen on him.
Not
Where
really.
do you think the Bucks are going at this point?
Okay, so outside linebacker could be a possibility, right? When you're drafting in the first round to get value, the player has to see the field. So that pretty much narrows it down to interior offensive line, meaning center or guard, right? And either upgrade over Robert Hainsey, or you fill in that hole of left guard. Or you go outside linebacker. And even though they signed Randy Gregory and you have Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, right? That first round pick, guess what? He's going to see the field. He's going to be either a starter or he's going to start as a rotational player and then Yaya Diaby end up as a starter at some point. The other position that's interesting is wide receiver, because there's going to be some, I think, pretty good wide receivers available at the end of the first round, because you're going to have a little run on wide receivers at the beginning, talking about Roma Dunze, Malik Neighbors, and some guy named Marvin Harrison Jr. I think he's got a famous dad. And then you have the run on quarterbacks, and this is an offensive tackle laden draft. So there's going to be a lot of offensive tackles. So you might see an outside linebacker, maybe Latu from UCLA, fall down there. And Chop Robinson's been a name that's been bantered about for the Buccaneers. I just don't like the production. I mean, they already have that guy on the roster named Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, a guy who's looks the part, has the speed, the athleticism, but just doesn't finish, right? And I think that's one thing on the tape that I saw is the guy just doesn't finish. I saw a lot of missed sacks, missed opportunities, and you're drafting an athlete rather than an instinctive football player there.
Exactly.
But that player's going to see the field. But then going back to receiver, this is going to be a more Rams-based offense than a Seahawks-based offense, with Dave Canales gone to Carolina and Liam Cohen in the building now. And what that means is a lot more 3 wide receiver sets, 11 personnel. And for those of you who don't know what 11 personnel is, I'll tell you. It's 1 running back, 1 tight end, 3 receivers. If it's a double tight end set, that would be 12 personnel, 1 back, 2 tight ends, hence the 12, and then 2 receivers. So that's what the Bucs ran about a quarter of the time last year, was 12 personnel with those double tight ends. Guess what? Not the strength of the team. Okay.
No, you don't even have one great tight end. You have a pretty good one.
Right.
But
you're going to see more 3 receiver sets, 11 personnel. And that means that third receiver is going to essentially be a starter. Right. And I think they want to upgrade over Trey Palmer, or at least somebody that's either going to push Trey Palmer to greatness or push him to the bench. And I will say this, if you're wide receiver 4 on a team that is very 11 personnel heavy, that's fine. You're going to see a lot of playing time, because you're not going to play Mike Evans at age 31 every single down, and Chris Godwin the same way at 29. So you really need to be at least 4 receivers deep, like 4 good receivers, to where if Mike's off the field on the sidelines getting a breather, same with Chris Godwin, your offense doesn't come to a standstill. Your passing game is still flourishing, and Baker Mayfield's still a happy camper. So getting a wide receiver there at the end of the first round might be a really good play because of the value. And Mike Evans only signed a 2-year deal. He's going to be 31. Yeah. Chris Godwin's on the final year of his deal. I'm not sure that he's back. And he's 28. He'll be 29 before next season starts. So I could see receiver, inside, either guard or center, the interior offensive line, or outside linebacker, because those are the guys that are going to be on the field.
I heard you guys talking about Hainsey on your podcast, and I've long been saying that this guy he's serviceable.
Yes,
he's very he can play a lot of different positions, but he's not really good at center. He gets overrun, and when you have a short quarterback, you can't have that. To me, Jackson Powers Johnson is that guy. He's played center. Barton can play center.
Yeah.
Powers Johnson has played center. He is elite. He's 335 pounds, and he just feels a lot like a Ryan Jensen anchor.
Yeah.
And to me, that one pick there, I think, changes your entire offensive line. Yes. It changes what you can do, especially with a Liam Cohen, who has made no mistakes, no mistake about it. He wants to run the damn football.
Yeah.
And you got to have a guy at the point that can move people. And
Mhm.
Robert Hainsey ain't that guy.
And he likes
That's
bigger,
where I think they're
stronger offensive linemen, right? You look at Sua Opeta, is not a big 330-pound guy like Filer was, but the dude is jacked. He's got some strength. 39 reps at the combine coming out of college, and Bredesen too is a big, strong guy. So I think that they're looking for more strength, more push up front. And yeah, I wrote about this in my SR's Fab 5 column on Friday on PeterReport.com. Ryan Jensen 2.0 is right there for the taking in Jackson Powers Johnson. And honestly, Ali Marpet 2.0 is Graham Barton. That's what he is. So if Jason Light is within striking distance, in other words, if one or both of those guys, if they get past Seattle, or let's say Seattle takes one at 16, and then the Steelers pass on one of those guys at 20, right? Now you got Dallas that you got to get in front of, because Dallas is screaming, and Tim, correct me if I'm wrong, they're screaming for interior offensive line help. They need to replace Tyler Biadasz at center.
They need a center too, yeah.
Yeah, so and also too, I mean, the Eagles need a replacement for Jason Kelsey, and they've got a lot of draft picks in this draft, including a couple in the second round. So you have to be careful that when you go up, right, you have to go up enough to where you can pick that guy. You can't just go up a couple spots and let that guy come to you, because you could have a situation where Philly can jump ahead. So yeah, in my opinion, this should be a quality, not quantity draft class for Jason Light, because you re-signed a lot of guys. You have a lot of the last two drafts have produced a lot of starters. Now it's time for those starters to become stars. Guys like Cody Mauch in year 2, time to be a star. Yaya Diaby in year 2, time to be a star. Rashad White in year 2, we kind of saw glimpses of it. Time to be a star, right, in year 3. So these two draft classes have provided a lot of starters for the Buccaneers, and I think you have to give them time to develop. And instead of saying, all right, we're going to, have another 7 guys into the mix, I'd rather Jason Light say, our draft class is going to be 5 guys. But, man, we filled holes at center and at guard. We got an extra receiver, and we got more pass rush help, and then call it a day. And if that means trading one of those third-round picks to move up a couple spots, do it.
Is it a given? Is it a given that, or at least the consensus given that the Bucs are going offensive line in the first round? Because there's a lot of teams. You mentioned Dallas. The Ravens are desperate for offensive line help. They lost 2 to free agency and 1 to a trade, including 2 starters.
Yeah.
But they picked 30. There's talks with the Ravens moving up, though, to pick one of these guys, because while it's a very, very deep offensive line draft,
it is. Yeah.
There's a handful of guys that sort of are better than the others, right? That could be first rounders.
Yeah.
So if the Bucs don't go offensive line there in the first round, are we looking at a wide receiver?
Yeah, you possibly receiver or outside linebacker help, depending on the guy.
Yeah.
I think Jason Light has learned some lessons, right? He learned a lot of lessons in 2016. That was a wipeout draft, right? That's that's Vernon Hargraves in the first round, Noah Spence in the second, and then the kicker Roberto Aguayo, right? So
my God.
that was a terrible draft. He learned a lot of lessons from, and he's had some really good drafts since then. But the lesson learned from 2022 was, don't force the pick. Don't sit there and say, well, we lost Ndamukong Suh, or we're not re-signing because he's old. We want to get younger, and we want to get more athletic at defensive tackle. So we're going to draft Logan Hall. And Logan Hall he's not that guy, right? He's not that guy. And what I love about Jason Light, and he's no general manager is perfect, and he's not perfect either, but he does not sit on a mistake. Okay. What did he do last year? He drafted another defensive tackle because he knew that Logan Hall was a miss, and he drafted Kalijah Kancey, who was better than Logan Hall, right? So I think the lesson learned from the Logan Hall thing is just because you need an offensive lineman, if Barton's gone and Jackson Powers Johnson's gone, you don't force the pick there. And if you don't love, say, Frazier from West Virginia, the center, and I don't know that they do, you don't just, all right, we need an offensive lineman here, right? And you force that pick. You go and
take
you
the
get
the
best player available. Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, at the same time, keep in mind, it's best player available with an asterisk, meaning if you take him in the first round, they really have to play so you can see the value. And that's why I don't think they're going to go cornerback. They like the addition of Bryce Hall. Zion McCollum's going to be a starter alongside Jamel Dean. So you've got 3 really good starting caliber corners, I think, on this team already. If you draft another one, that
Where's he
player's
playing?
not going to help you. He's not going to see the field. So that's why I think it's receiver or outside linebacker if it's not interior line. But to your point, Tim, there are a lot of guard, center type players in this draft. Even guys like Dominic Puny from KU. He played left guard his junior year. He played left tackle his senior year, which Jason Light loves. He likes to take tackles, draft them, and then move them inside. And we saw him snap the ball and play a lot of center at the Senior Bowl. And so I've talked to Brandon Thorne, who is like the absolute expert when it comes to offensive line. He is an offensive line guru. And he says, yeah, Dominic Puny, he's a Jason Light type of offensive lineman, big guy, 6'3.5", 6'4", 335 pounds. He's not Jackson Powers Johnson, but he might be the next best thing in terms of that mold, that Ryan Jensen, bully in the middle. And so whether it's him, the interesting thing that I'm curious about is if they don't go offensive line in the first round, Jason Light has never really drafted a guard, And so do you go with a Christian Haynes from UConn? Do you go with the Christian Mahogany from Boston College? Do you go with the Cooper Beebe from Kansas State? Those are all guards. And he has always drafted a tackle and moved him inside. Hainsey, right tackle at Notre Dame to center. Right. Cody Mauch, left tackle at North Dakota State to right guard. Luke Gedeke, they tried him at left guard. He was a right tackle at Central Michigan. Alex Cappa, left tackle, Humboldt State, moved him to guard. Ali Marpet was a left tackle at Humboldt College. He played guard. All of their guards are former tackles. Even Ryan Jensen, who was drafted by Baltimore, he played left tackle at Northern Colorado. Colorado Pueblo, wherever he played. You know what I'm saying? So it would be interesting to see if he's like, oh, I'm finally going to draft a guard now, when all he's ever done is draft tackles and move them inside.
Well, you can find that. You find that athletic. Well, it's because the less athletic guys always get moved inside. Right. The best players play left. It's like the best baseball players in the youth play shortstop. That's right. They may not end up in the outfield, but they started shortstop. So it's kind of the way it works. Scott Reynolds joining us here from the Pewter Report. You guys had a Greg Cosell, who's one of the best tape guys in the game, breaking down Baker Mayfield. What did he say about Baker's season?
He said it was he had a really good season. We tried to get him to put a label on it. I tried, was it good? Was it very good? Was it great? How would you classify it? And I think what he said was he described Baker as someone who is a rhythm thrower, right? Where he needs to have a clean pocket. He needs to be able to step into his throws. He has a strong arm, but he's not the 6'5" Josh Allen, right? Or the Patrick Mahomes, where he just has that lined up flick of the wrist arm strength. Baker has a strong arm, but because of his stature, he's got to step into the throws. That's why what he was saying is, man, you really need, the tackles are great, right? Wirfs and Gedeke, that's solid, but man, he needs that interior to be rock solid to give him those throwing lanes and to allow him to step into the throws. And a prime example, if you go back to that first Detroit game, right back in week 6, Mike Evans has got a 92-yard touchdown staring him in the face, right? There was a play action and the Lions bit hard. Evans is literally running 10 yards down the field, wide ass open. And what do we see? We saw Isaiah Buggs, 330-pound nose tackle for the Lions, drive Robert Hainsey into the lap of Baker Mayfield. Mayfield couldn't step into the throw. And so he throws the ball. It's tipped at the line, intercepted inside the red zone. All of a sudden, boom, Lions up 3-0, right? It could have been 7-0. Tampa Bay right there at home, creamsicle game. Football, I think more than any other sport, is a game of momentum, right? Could have changed the whole dynamic of that game, and maybe resulted in the Bucs win. Who knows? Or it's certainly closer than 20-6. But my point is that's a prime example where if Baker has a clean pocket, one extra step to throw the ball and zip it in there to Evans, that's a touchdown, man. And that's where Robert Hainsey hurts you, because he's not stout enough to go up against those 300+ pound nose tackles and hold his ground and anchor. And so he needs to be protected. And also, too, with this new offense, it's going to feature a lot of motion, a ton of motion, which is great because it gives Baker those tells. Is it man? Is it zone? Right? And you're going to see a lot of quick rhythmic throws. a lot of bunch and stack formations that are going to get free releases for guys that don't have that instant acceleration, right? Mike Evans has got long speed, right? We've seen that, but he is not the best short, quick area guy. You don't want to use him for the wide receiver screen, right? And Chris Godwin, losing a step at age 28. He's not the dude he was when he walked in at age 23 here anymore. So for guys like that, they're going to be aided by these bunch concepts and formations that are going to essentially create those openings and give those guys, as they're doing those crossers out of the bunch formations, those free releases off the line. You can stack Mike Evans, right? It's where he's got a couple steps to start to get up to full speed, to make his moves and make his cuts without even having that cornerback within 2 or 3 yards of him yet. So I'm excited about this. And I think this offense is going to even be a better fit for Baker Mayfield than Canales' was. And if that's the case, Baker's touchdowns could go up. The interceptions could either go down or stay the same. And I think the points will go up. So I'm excited about his fit in this offense. And I think Greg Cosell was too.
Yeah, and that's the main thing is this offense as a whole. You focus so much on the quarterback and his numbers, and that's important, obviously.
Yeah.
But having balance and scoring points is where it's at. And it's we love Dave Canales, and we wish him the best, except 2 times a year, right?
Right.
With Carolina, but the offense was what, 21st in points scored, 20 in the league.
Well, they scored 20. They scored 21 points. It was a 3-point upgrade from that. And honestly, I expect them to be around 24 points per game this year. And if that's the case,
I do too.
That'll probably put them somewhere between 15 to 12. Right? If you're a top half of the league and maybe knocking on the top 10's door and scoring, you're a playoff team. If your defense, is worth anything. And I think with Todd Bowles, it always will be. So yeah, I like that. The other thing too that I like about this, that Cosell was talking about, and this is what's going to help Baker Mayfield and the running game. Baker's going to have more ability to check the plays at the line of scrimmage, to get out of those fronts.
Bad run fits.
There were just times last year where that was the call, and Baker didn't have the freedom and the lateral ability to make those calls, and sometimes the plays were DOA, right? They were dead on arrival. Because they were running into some unfavorable fronts. And now they're going to have the ability to change the play from run to run or from run to pass, right? Instead of an outside, toss, if the safety's coming down, inside the slot, let's run it up the middle of the field, right? So there's more freedom that Baker's going to have to control not just their passing game, but their running game. And when you've got those 3-by-1 looks, and what that means is 3 receivers to one set, and one to the other. Typically, the tight end is going to be out there by himself. That would be a 1-3. Or if the tight end is over there, then it's a 3-1. But basically, you're having you're having 4 targets right outside the line of scrimmage, not on the line of scrimmage. In other words, that tight end is going to be flexed out. And as a result, this team should be facing a lot more nickel or dime looks. And hardly any
much easier to run in.
Much easier to run against a lighter box like that. And I think that's the whole key. Listen, if you've got Rob Gronkowski and you've got Cam Brate in his prime where he's an okay number 2, then go double tight and try to run the ball. And they had some success doing that. Look at 2020 in the playoff run. They averaged about 130 yards per game on the ground because they could do it. But if you don't have the tight ends, why would you want to be in 12 personnel and put 2 of them on the field?
And how many times did we do that last year in short yardage? I'm like, and there's nowhere to run. Like you got 22 guys within 15, 20 yards wide, and you're trying to get. It's just like,
and whenever you have people on the field, it's a tell. You're going to run the ball.
Exactly.
And he's not going to be a receiver. So now all of a sudden, what you've done is you've told the defense, we're running the ball, and B, if we're going to go play action, we only have 4 targets on the field, not 5, because it doesn't count. He can't catch the ball, right? So to me, this is such, from a strategic standpoint, it just makes a lot more sense for the personnel here. And I think Trey Palmer showed some signs of life at the end of the season. We saw the drops go away. He's a good run blocker, just has to get rid of the holding calls. But I think he can help this team as either wide receiver 3 or 4, but they're going to draft a receiver. And if that's the case, man, now you're kind of getting, to, and I don't want to bring up 2020, but I mean, in 2020, you had Gronk and AB in addition to Mike and Chris, right?
Yeah.
And you had Leonard Fournette, who was playoff Lenny at the time, right? Now, if you've got Mike and Chris, and you've got a really good wide receiver 3, and K-Dot continues to develop a little bit, or maybe you got a Ben Sennett from Kansas State, who's probably more of a starting caliber player, along with Rashad, look out. I mean, pick your poison. Where do you want Baker to go with the football? Because now all of a sudden, all the options look pretty good. And that's why this team won the Super Bowl in 2020. That's why they won 13 games in 2021. Because no matter who you decided to take away, Brady always had somebody. Fine. You
always
wanna,
had an answer. Always had an answer. Yeah.
You want to double Gronk and Godwin in the slot? We're going to go AB and Mike down the sidelines.
Yeah.
You want to take away Mike and AB on the outsides? It's a big day for Godwin and Gronk coming right up.
And you had an experienced quarterback that was good enough to be able to take what the defense gives him. And I think Baker is that
He's
guy.
Smart. Yeah.
He's a smart guy. Yeah.
Yep.
So, but I do think it is funny, though, from a national perspective. Vegas has the Falcons at 10.5 wins. I'm like, okay.
That's insane. There is no way that's.
I'm taking the under on that.
I'm taking the under right now.
Yeah. I mean, I know their schedule isn't.
I might win more money
as...
on the Falcons this year than I did on the Bucs last year. Right. And I won money on the Bucs.
Well, where do they got the
that...
Bucs? I think I saw 8.5 for the Bucs.
Yeah. And I think it's going to come down. I think once it gets to 8, I'm going to really go all in.
Yeah, so, I agree with it.
Yeah. I made a ton of money on the 6.5 last year. And then I think where was it? When they beat Green Bay, and the Falcons had won that week too. And I think the Saints might have also won. But when they beat Green Bay, I threw down a ton of cash on the Bucs winning the division because I looked at the schedule and I'm like, okay, if they get past Jacksonville, they're going to do this.
I got those NFC South odds at the beginning of the season, which were a lot more, and I made a nice penny off of them winning the division. Yep. I actually had them. I just for shiz and giggles, I said, let's go NFC Championship too. What the heck, and had a nice 3 or 4. It was about $3,400 sitting out there. Went on a $25 bet. I'm like, that'll be nice.
Yeah,
we couldn't quite get there, but close enough.
Yeah.
All right, Scotty, tell everybody where they can find the Greg Cosell podcast and everything else you got going on, because that was a really good one. I enjoyed that one.
It was a great one. Yeah. If you're a football fan, Buccaneer fan, for sure, check out last Thursday's podcast. It's on Pewter Report TV, which is our YouTube channel. We have the great Greg Allman from Fox Sports coming on today to talk about the NFC South, what the Falcons and Panthers and Saints have been doing, as well as your Buccaneers, and maybe how that division shakes out in Greg's mind. So he's going to be our guest today. And that's at 4:00. We have podcasts, the Pewter Report podcast, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday during the offseason, all live at 4:00. If you miss them live, fine. You can check out our archived replays on Pewter Report TV, our YouTube channel. And tomorrow, we've got our new, this is our 4th edition of our mock draft. We'll have a final mock, April 22nd, which I think is Monday. That's draft week. So this is our 4th edition, comes out tomorrow. We'll also have discussion about that mock on tomorrow's podcast. That's our YouTube channel, Pewter Report TV. You can check out all of our Bucs content on pewterreport.com, and on social media, you can follow us on X, Facebook, and Instagram at Pewter Report.
All right, Scotty, great stuff, my friend. Appreciate it. We'll check in with you next week after the mock. I'll be looking for that. Absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. All right, we're going to talk some golf in our next segment. Johnny Gerber will be joining us. I got to show you this, though. I don't know, Tim, did your lovely look at that omelet the lovely Ashley just brought me.
Oh my gosh. Where do I place my order?
That. Right? Toast. Just gave me some fresh coffee.
I gotta go get my own stuff.
And she looks like $1 million. Who's got it better than me? Who's got it better than me?
Nobody, apparently.
Nobody. Not even Harbaugh.
I mean, Tom doesn't even have Giselle anymore, right? So
that's right. Yeah. But she wasn't cheating on him.
No,
with the jiu-jitsu instructor, even though they're together now and they were there then.
But just started after they split up.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it makes all the sense in the world.
It wasn't her fault at all. No, not at all. Thanks, Giselle.
Lord.
All right, quick break. When we come back, we'll talk some Masters with our with our good friend Johnny Gerber, who's been red hot in the matchups. So we'll get if you want to get some bets down for your Masters enjoyment, we'll talk to the pro next. Johnny Gerber, stay with us. We're brought to you by the great folks at Hydrate Heroes, our presenting sponsor. There you see it right there. I'm hydrating as we speak with my omelet. Got a lot of great flavors, and it is so beneficial for you. 8 ingredients in there that will help you, not hurt you. No caffeine, no sugar, just good stuff. Elderberry, zinc, vitamin D3, all the good stuff, and low calorie as well. 5 calories, and it tastes fantastic. HydrateHeroes.com. Go to HydrateHeroes.com. 15% of gross sales going to our heroes and helping Veterans Group. So thanks to Hydrate Heroes. Back in 3. Stay with us. Here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man Scott Jeeves, who lives right here and has long been a highly respected member of our community. He's a proud sponsor of the Tampa Riverwalk. Jeeves Law Group is also a proud sponsor of our Grand Central District in St. Pete and has neighborhood events throughout the year. He has an office on Central Avenue in St. Pete and one on South Howard in Tampa. You can't get more local than that. So when you need an attorney, you're going to hire some huge firm that advertises all over the state or the one that supports your favorite sports show. It's the Jeeves Law Group. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. For personal injury and personal attention, call us for a free case evaluation. That's 8889-JEEVES. That's 8889-JEEVES.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
Did you know Steve Weintraub founded the Gold and Diamond Source over 40 years ago by selling gold-plated sand dollars? And to celebrate, the Gold and Diamond Source is selling gold sand dollar jewelry with the proceeds supporting Julie and Steve Weintraub's foundation, Hands Across the Bay. Yes, in 1984, Steve opened their first location, expanded to 9 stores as far as Atlanta, but now they've consolidated all that inventory under one roof, becoming one of the largest family-owned fine jewelry stores in the country. Julie, of course, joined forces with her husband 20 years ago, and they're going to celebrate by offering up to 40% off select jewelry items. Plus, with gold prices near all-time highs, it's the perfect time to trade in your broken or unworn pieces for something new and stunning. Unlock the value in your jewelry box today at the Gold and Diamond Source. It's always one place, and it's always a great place. The Gold and Diamond Source celebrating their 40th anniversary, 3800 Olmington Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
Wow, man. It's hard to eat all this great food in 1 3-minute break. But
I don't even want to hear about it.
oh,
I want to hear about it. I had dry toast earlier.
white cheddar and orange cheddar cheese in there, or yellow, whatever you call it. Plus some broccoli and some grilled onions, some nice toast. I think it's fresh coffee. I get topped off with the fresh coffee.
I need a maid.
Am I rubbing it in?
Hey, can we get an intern? Does FanStream Sports get interns? I need an intern at my house.
Let's talk. Well, talk to the boss. Hey, wait. There he is. Wait,
I think
there's
he's
the boss
here.
right there. Yes. John Gerber, PGA Pro. What's up, partner? How are you?
You're muted, Johnny. You got to unmute yourself. Welcome to radio.
Everything.
Well, good
There
morning,
he is.
guys. Good morning. Good morning. Happy Masters, right? Best week of the year, right?
It is for golf.
Absolutely.
Not
Yeah.
for breakfast for me, but for golf, maybe.
I just heard that. I don't even get this at the hotel I'm staying at, JP. So I don't know what you got going on over there, but you keep it up because you got it going.
And it ain't just the cooking. I'll tell you that right now. It ain't just the cooking.
Oh
Yeah.
boy. Oh boy.
Yeah. So where are you? What port of call are you in today, my friend?
I am in Kansas City for one more day and then back to Columbus, Ohio for a couple of days. And then I'll be heading back to Dallas, our mothership there in Dallas. So Tim gets me for a few days down there in Dallas after the Masters. I can't go there this Masters week with him because he gets all excited and we don't get any work done. So we gotta separate a little bit.
I understand that, and I understand because you've been to the Masters a few times. Have you played Augusta?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I've been
That's what I
lucky to
thought.
play Augusta a couple times and been there a bunch as a patron. But yeah, it's great. And we talk about this all the time. It's like people don't understand how hilly it is on
Yeah.
TV. I mean, TV, you can tell some, but it certainly doesn't do it justice. And, I was there playing when there was no stands, and it's a little bit different with, going to an event with no stands and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Your foul balls don't get caught up there in the stands when they're up, when you're playing on a normal day.
You
But
pros
no.
love that too, don't you? You
Oh,
love
man,
that when you shank one into this, and it's like 3 feet off the green still. It should
when
be
you're
down in
playing
the
bad,
creek.
when you're hitting it bad, boy, fans and stands, that's what we say all the time is your friend.
Must be nice.
That's what we always amateur golfers were like, yeah, well, if I had stands around the green all the time, to back me up, that'd be just fine. Yeah.
No,
And those
doesn't help.
greens, those pristine greens you guys play on, who can't putt on those?
Yeah.
My thing was always if I had marshals up and down each side of each fairway every shot,
Somebody
I'd never lose a ball because they can always find it. They're always there waiting on it, but I don't ever have that.
No, the way you hit it, trust me, they won't even find it.
They don't have
They don't
there.
look in the other fairways, do they?
There's no marshals in the woods. There is no marshals in the woods.
All right, never mind.
Well, it's we had Ann Ligori on yesterday from Augusta. She was fantastic, and we're kind of running down a lot of the different storylines because there really isn't a Tiger storyline. You can try to force it, but the most interesting thing we'll see from Tiger today is probably his interview. He'll be speaking to the media today, and he was part of that group, the players board that spoke with the live for the PIF guys, not the live guys, but the PIF guys with the money. So I think do you think Johnny will learn some things today from Scotty Scheffler, from Tiger Woods about where this is all headed? Because it's nice to see everybody in one spot, here this week. All the greatest players are at the Masters. So, it's something we should see more often, but we're just not. But what do you think we'll hear from Tiger today?
I don't think here's why. If it was just a different week besides the Masters week, I think you'd probably hear a little bit more. But I think these guys don't want to take the attention away from the tournament itself. I mean, it's really the only one that you'll get it. So I think, Augusta National and that room in there, that media center, they have a tendency to control things a lot more than the other places in other tournaments. So I think they're going to really limit some of those PIF questions and merger questions just for this week, just because it's Augusta. Maybe next week at Hilton Head might get a little bit more information, but I certainly don't think the players either want to be bothered with the questions. So I don't think you're going to hear. Yeah, I don't think you're going to hear nearly as much as some people think it is, just because the significance of the week.
So if the press people in the room there, at the Masters say, we really don't want a lot of those questions. And then, it kind of murmurs through the rest of the media like, yeah, I want to keep my media badge for years.
That's right. That's right.
Media, I won't be asking those questions.
It's true. I'm telling you, that's very true how that works. Yeah. So you're going to, like I said, I think you're going to see very few of those merger questions. But a cool thing, I thought, you're looking at Rahm that goes over and is kind of the voice right now of the Live Tour when it comes to the merger. And he's very vocal about two things when they're coming to the merger. One, he's demanding that they have 72-hole events to get these guys some world ranking points. That was first and forefront on his mind. And he's basically saying, hey, listen, we got to get something done because all the buzz and everything that's going on with this week, we need more of them in golf. It's just the fact. You have, normally the Players Championship has the best field in golf, but it's actually this week because you have the top 50 players in the world. You have some of the other invitees of the 89-man field. You're going to get the best field in golf this week as opposed to it usually being the Players Championship.
John Rahm's not even 4 months into his tenure as a live golfer, and he's already calling for sweeping changes. Like you said, he's demanding 72-hole tournaments, which was one of the 54-hole tournaments was one of the very basic pieces of the fabrication of live golf that they didn't want to play 72 to wear out their golfers and they could mix it in more. And now he's already coming in changing this. I think John Rahm misses already. I think he misses the PGA Tour, the attention that you get, the galleries that you have at a PGA Tour event as opposed to what you have at a live golf event. He has yet to win too, by the way, in a live golf event. So he hasn't been to the winner's circle yet over there. So I think he's missing some of this PGA Tour attention that he got.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And I watched my very first live event in Miami this past weekend.
Gross.
And my two things that I took away from it was how kind of disinterested John Rahm and Sergio Garcia was. Did you see him at the end there? Sergio was just like, okay, whatever. I mean, I'm getting my money. And like, if it's a PGA Tour event, they're far more upset about losing a golf tournament
more invested
than these things. Absolutely. And
It's
I
a
just
carnival.
took away. It is. And it just took away. I just took away how kind of disinterested that those guys look they're not grinding, and you're right, Tim. John Rahm hasn't really even contended. I think his best finish is 5th. And I think that was a backdoor finish. Like, he wasn't really leading the golf tournament at any point. So yeah, certainly John Rahm missing. And obviously with him going back to Augusta as defending champion, he's getting to see both sides of it now, what it's really supposed to be on the PGA Tour in Augusta and how it is what they think it's going to be in Live Golf.
And you see these guys in John Rahm and Brooks Koepka. I mean, I'm just watching, on the Golf Channel, and to see their faces, I'm like, I haven't seen these dudes in 6 months.
Right.
Like, literally haven't seen them in 6 months. And they're completely irrelevant. They're the greatest players. Some of them are the best players on the planet. We don't even see them.
Yeah.
It's bad for golf, Johnny. Ratings are down. You've got too many other, people have too many other things they can get into these days. Different sports, niche sports. I mean, look at the explosion in women's college basketball. People spending time now watching women's college basketball. That's taking away from the PGA Tour. And if you can't get your crap together, PGA Tour, Live Golf, the sport of golf, you're going to become an afterthought. And I think the players are starting to realize that maybe it's just not all about a money grab. They have to give a product to the people that we care about. And right now, I don't really care about the PGA Tour because I look at their leaderboards and I don't know half those people. Sure, eventually they'll be stars, I guess, whatever. Not interested. And I'm a golfer. Yeah. I mean, I think the PGA Tour is in a really, really bad spot right here. And I think the players are starting to learn that.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. I think Dustin Johnson's had 4 more kids since he went to Live Golf and no one's ever heard about it or something. I don't know.
That's can afford them now.
Yeah, well, that's how disinterested the people are. But you're 100% right, JP. I mean, you're starting to see some of the sponsors not really renewing, especially with Honda was the big thing. They were the number one
Honda, Wells Fargo. It's gone.
They're not giving us
so
a product. You're not giving us a good product with the best players in the world. And if they don't really get something together, you're certainly going to see more and more of these big title sponsors saying, listen, we can spend our money other places besides a PGA Tour of a product that we're not getting the revenue. It's just the economics of it. And if your stars aren't there, and you said it right, I watched more women's college basketball this year because of the star power that they were bringing, even more so than the men. I mean, and you'll look at the ratings. The women's national championship will probably double the men's. It would be my guess.
That's crazy.
Because of the star power. And, 4 years ago, when the PGA Tour was really good, it's when you had these stars. And the stars are driving the sport. And it's just not that way anymore. And they're split. But they have to do something, and it's to the point now that they really do have to do something. I really expect another meeting, probably Monday, going into Hilton Head, with Live Golf and all that, because everyone's going to be there at Augusta. So I think it might be a good opportunity to sit there on Monday after the tournament.
Johnny Gerber joining us here. All right, let's get to some of the favorites here. People want to make some money off the Masters, make it a little bit more interesting to watch. So, I mean, Scotty Scheffler, far and away the favorite, and he should be, the way he's hitting the ball right now. But, if you said field or Scotty Scheffler, I'd take the field, no doubt about it, just the way it is. And he's, can he consistently putt for 4 days at Augusta and under pressure and make it? Obviously he's done it. He won it. But can he do it again? What are your thoughts on Scheffler this week?
Yeah, I mean, certainly he's a favorite, and for the reasons that you exactly said. He's been the best player on the PGA Tour probably for the last year, since then. But, on a betting standpoint, betting Scotty Scheffler, you can't make any money on him. That's the problem. Right. He has the shortest odds of anyone that's ever been, even Tiger. In Tiger's heyday, he has the shortest odds of any golfer that's played in the tournament, shortest odds. So, on my card, I don't see it. I think there's some really good value kind of looking down the board. I mean, if you off the top of your head, if you name out the top 10 best players in the world, I certainly think Victor Hovland would be there, and you get him at 35, 36 to 1. I think there's great value with Victor Hovland. I know he hasn't been playing very well this year. And I certainly think he's kind of solved his chipping problems, and he's played well there in the past. So I think there's real value there with Victor Hovland going down in the board. I don't remember him being this long of odds in a long time. No. So there's certainly value. I think Xander Schauffele really learned something at the Players Championship. And you're getting at a pretty good price. I think you can get him right now around 26 to 28 to 1. So I think Xander's some really good value. And moving down the board a little bit, maybe Hideki. I mean, Hideki's been playing really good. And at the beginning of last week at Valero, Tim and I were talking about, I was swearing, cussing out Jordan Spieth. But Astor's last 2 rounds, he played really well the last 2 rounds in a very difficult golf course in San Antonio. So, this Augusta National for Jordan Spieth is always a get right week. I mean, he walks into that place and he feels there's, he can do no wrong. I wouldn't particularly get him to win, but certainly maybe a top 10 or a top 20 bet for Jordan Spieth. There's probably some pretty good value there. If you want to look at maybe some of the live guys that you make a couple dollars on, look at Patrick Reed. I hate saying it. I'm not a Patrick Reed fan by any means. Gross. So that means, I really kind of like him maybe in that top 20 spot. You're going to see some weird odds in the top 20 because it's, I know, but that's just,
as a human being.
Yeah, certainly in the human, but Patrick Reed, as much as I don't really care for him that much. He's made me a lot of money. We had him the year that he won at really big odds. So, 89-man field finish in the top 20. You're going to see some weird numbers there because it is such a short field. But, everyone's kind of touting this Ludwig Aberg. You can say O-A, however you want to say his last name. I don't see it. The only reason why, the only last person ever to win the Masters in their first appearance is Fuzzy Zeller. I'm going to go by history on this one. The guy certainly has the talent, but there's just so many little nuances to that place that you got to figure out, and experience is the key there. So I just don't really like him for my money there. I'm going to root for the guy, and if you want to maybe put him in the top 20, but even if you do that, you're gonna get maybe plus 120 to finish in the top 20, and there's just not a lot of value for your money.
So I'm going to throw another name out at you, Johnny. We're talking about guys in their first Masters, and by the way, we'll give our actual picks and odds and best bets on tomorrow's From the Rough right here on FanStream Sports at 5:00 Central Time on all of our channels and social media outlets. But as you mentioned, Fuzzy Zeller, 1979, the last guy to win the Masters in his first attempt. You just mentioned Oberg. I'm going to throw another name at you that fits in that same category, and I think he's got a really good chance. Wyndham Clark. I want to know what you think about Wyndham Clark. We'll talk about him more tomorrow too, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, Wyndham certainly has the game for the place. If he can kind of stay out of his own way, if you've watched him over the last 3 or 4 weeks, he's kind of been doing a Jordan Spieth, right? He's just been talking too much. And when tour guys talk that way, they're frustrated or they're tired in their game, and there's something there that I need to see a little bit more. But certainly he has the length, and they're going to play this golf course. The weather's going to be pretty good, and that's some of the thing. He has the length, and if you want to break down some of these guys, maybe the top 15 guys, 15% of the guys, the key thing is the length. It's going to play 7,600 yards, and it's a long carries getting on some of these top of these hills there in Augusta. So length is certainly one of the factors that we will put in our card when we put out our picks tomorrow. But Wyndham Clark's not a bad pick. I just don't like his mannerisms and how he's kind of been playing the last 3 or 4 weeks. And like I said, when tour guys start talking to themselves, with the exception of Jordan Spieth, because he does it all the time, then there's something's going on in their brain that they're not real secure about.
Johnny Gerber joining us here, talking some Masters, our PGA Pro. Tiger is always going to be mentioned. I mean, from just a pure playing standpoint, the guy really can't even finish 72 holes. It's ridiculously hard for him. We love to see him out there, but just don't think he's going to be a factor. Is there any magic left in Tiger Woods in your mind?
We'll see. I mean, it's curious to see how it is today. He was in the Players Championship, and the Players Championship is probably the easiest golf course to walk on the PGA Tour, and he didn't play that. So maybe it's the rest factor. We'll see. I never really want to count Tiger out there at Augusta. I just don't, because he knows the place so well. I don't know if there's any added pressure, going for the consecutive cut streak for him. I think that's kind of out. He'll be asked a couple questions, but I certainly don't think it's in his mind. But I do think he will make the cut if he can stay healthy and play, 36 holes. I do think he will make the cut at Augusta. But here's a little thing that's interesting. JT's got a new caddy this week, Matt Minister. Sometimes for these tour guys, when they have a different voice, they have a different way of looking at it. I wouldn't count JT out. If you look at his value, he's going to have great value. I know he hasn't played very well, but he fits the mold for that place. He's hitting it high, and he can miss it around there a little bit more than most golf courses because it's a little bigger ballpark for these guys. So I think maybe a little bit of a different attitude, a little different voice with a new caddy and Matt Minister on his bag. I look for JT maybe to play well too. And they're playing together today, Tiger in a practice round, him and Freddie. And JT. So look for that. But for Tiger, I certainly think he can make the cut, but I don't really see him contending, maybe finish in the top 10.
Now, last question. Are there any nuances to the course this year? I know they changed the tee at 2 to make it, I guess you got to hook it a little bit more around the corner. Any other nuances that might affect the game?
Not really. I think 2's the biggest one. I mean, they're buying land there all the time to move some tee boxes back just for the link factor. That's just what they do. So there might be some little subtle changes that you'll see. They'll move some angles and some tees, like you said, 2. That's great. They're going to make them turn it around the tree a little bit more. But I don't think there's any dramatic things that they're really going to do. I heard they might move a couple tees up to give them to for whatever reason, move the tees up a little bit on a couple holes and change some things up to maybe give them a little different look that they haven't seen before. But like I said, two is really the only dramatic thing that they're going to have to shape the ball a little bit more, I think.
What is it? Is it 3 that they can, if they move the tees up, they could drive the green?
Yeah, 3.
Yeah. So we've
3.
seen, and that's kind of been, a staple now to the PGA Tour. They want to have these guys try to drive the green at least on one hole. We've seen a little bit more of that, which I like. It throws a little bit of something into the game.
The fans love it too. I mean, it's a good look. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, Tim, it's still a driver and a 3-iron for you. For the tour guys,
they all are. Man.
They got a chance to drive the green. Yes,
there's par 3s out there that are a driver and a 4-iron for me, and I still can't.
What I love about 3 is it sits up. The green sits up there. So if you miss it short, you got this 40-yard wedge right in a hollow that you have to stop up on top of that slick bowl. It's an almost impossible shot, right?
Yeah, if you're going to go for it, and that little 40-yard shot, with not having a full shot, you can't really spin it nearly as well as a full golf shot. So that's certainly, those guys would, if they don't think they're going to go for it or can actually get it on or maybe pass the green, they'll lay back so they can get a fuller shot into that green so they can spin it better. So that little 40-yard shot, I mean, you'll see some guys, if they're in that, you won't be surprised. You'll be surprised how many guys will kind of chunk it or leave it short.
The throw-up zone.
On that hole. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I cannot wait. Now, you're going to put out some matchups as the week goes on. How can folks get those as well? Because that's your bread and butter.
Yeah, we're doing great on matchups. We're 23-6-2 in matchups this year. We haven't got a winner on the card, but we are catching up a little bit on the overall total. But this is like the Super Bowl of betting when it comes to golf betting. All the prop bets you can have for Augusta. There's so many out there. We're going to stick to our bread and butter with our matchups. We won't do a 72-hole matchup, but we'll certainly have more matchups on Saturday and Sunday than we normally do on a normal tournament. There's just so many great things about Augusta when it comes to that in the matchup category. I might throw some 3 balls out there this week in terms of matchups. So basically you can pick 1 out of 3 guys as opposed to head-to-head matchups. We've done that in the past and had some really success, but yeah, the matchups we're doing great on the matchups this week. And I see no reason why we don't keep going this week at Augusta. It's been a great money maker for us over the past 4 or 5 or 6 years. So we're going to continue that trend this week.
Yeah, you're good at it. I love it. Jay Gerber, PGA Pro. So Saturday morning, Sunday morning, you'll have those picks for everybody on your Twitter, right?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have it on Twitter, and then we'll have the overall picks tomorrow afternoon, and we'll review those tomorrow on our show from the Rub Podcast.
It's a good one. All right, partner. Great stuff as always. Appreciate you. And we will catch up with you next week. Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me on. Have a great week.
Cannot wait to start watching the Masters this week and watching the coverage on Golf Channel right now, seeing the guys out there. Watching the ladies amateur was fantastic with Lottie Wood.
I am such a fan of that ladies amateur, man.
Yeah.
I almost enjoy that as much. I wish there wasn't now. I wish there wasn't a PGA event opposite it, right? I mean, because I like to watch it so much. Those girls are really, really good. But it's my favorite week for golf. It's the Masters and the PGA Championship, and the Players are my three favorite tournaments every year. And man, this week I am 100% golf. I mean, it's nuts.
I forgot I was going to ask Johnny about the Valero Open there. The guy freaking separates his shoulder. What, Bhatia? What was it?
Akshay Bhatia. Yeah.
Bhatia.
Separated his shoulder with a fist pump.
And then he has to go in a playoff.
Then he had to go to the playoff because I mean, obviously, he gave up the 9-stroke lead and ended up going to a playoff to Denny McCarthy. But he partially separated his shoulder with a fist bump or a fist pump. And there's video of him, before the playoff getting it worked on, and they're trying to pop it back, and it was hurting him the entire time. And but he comes off as the winner in the playoff to avoid a Greg Norman like collapse, in a non-major. But good week for him for sure. We're happy to see him win. He's one of the good guys.
All right, partner, quick break. When we come back, Chris Lugo is going to join us in our last half hour. TJ Reeves is going to join us from the Final Four, talk a little bit about that UConn dominance last night. Where's Danny Hurley going? Is he going to Kentucky? Who's going to be Kentucky's next head coach? All that more when we come back here. We're brought to you by Extravaganza Productions, EPI, the best in the business, folks. If you have a big event, a small event, a charity event, business event, and you need some help producing the event, audio, visual, themes, any of that stuff, Extravaganza Productions. They do the big events. They do the small events. They are the best in Tampa Bay. I've worked with them many, many, many times. You can get a free creative meeting with them if you don't know what to do with your event. You just need some ideas. Just go to the website, extravaganzaproductions.com. Contact them through there. Tell them JP sent you. They'll bring you in. You can go through their warehouse, see all their incredible props that they have, all different ideas that'll help your charity event really, really pop. So go to extravaganzaproductions.com and tell them JP sent you. Back in 3. Stay with us. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man, Scott Jeeves. If you're going to hire an attorney, do you want some guy looking for a quick settlement and a quick buck, or do you want an attorney with some chops? Scott is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator. Been practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. He is a peer-reviewed AV preeminent-rated civil trial lawyer. They just don't hand out those classifications. He's been the lead class action counsel on many complex consumer protection cases and has handled hundreds of serious personal injury cases. He's dedicated his career to protecting injured victims and is committed to vigorously representing you. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. Personal injury and personal attention. Call for a free case evaluation. That's 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. The Jeeves Law Group. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA 2-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or try to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808. Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset, so make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance, because if you get sued in this over-litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative, Charity, is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at Italiano Insurance. Check them out at 813-877-7799. And we are presented by Hydrate Heroes, our great beverage with benefits right here. And speaking of great health, let's bring in our good friend Chris Lugo from Bay Area Modern Medical Center. What's up, Chris? How are you, my friend?
Good morning, guys. How's it going?
Well, you were on last week with Tim, so I want to get an update on how that whole thing went. Did you get him straightened out? I know he wants to join the plant-based diet that we're going to do here for a month. So
it was a train wreck, wasn't it, Chris?
No, don't do plant-based, please, Tim. Don't do that.
No.
No.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. Carnivore. Carnivore. If you're gonna do something crazy.
Well, I like steak.
Yes. Good.
Steak's good. I like steak.
Good.
Well, we got this new plant-based hydration. These are our new presenting sponsors, so don't crush them.
I'm sorry,
but it's plant-based. No, if the plant-based people want to do it, but carnivores can drink it too. Duh. So, but it's got good stuff in it. It's got elderberry. It's got the alma fruit, the D3, all the stuff you tell me to eat anyway. And what it doesn't have is caffeine, all those stimulants and the sugars and everything else that you'll find in these energy drinks or other hydration drinks. So it's super clean. I'm going to send you the information so Please. You can do an eval on it. I think you'll like it. It's really, really good. I've been drinking it for like 2 weeks now, and it totally makes a difference. Not only on my hydration level, but I just feel better. I have more energy, more everything. So I love it.
Is it a protein shake?
No, it's a hydration drink. It's a hydration drink. It's a powder. Comes in a powder form in a little shake cup here, and it has all these 8 extra benefits in them, and none of the caffeine or sugar that you'll find in some of these other drinks. I mean, I think Gatorade just came out with something that they're trying to make more similar, but because that's what everybody's looking for now. Not as much sugar and all that stuff. But I don't necessarily trust.
I like sugar too. That's a problem.
Well, sugar comes from a plant, doesn't it?
Sure, I guess.
but when you're looking for a hydration drink, this is something we could talk about here. There are things to avoid, right? Like all the sugar that you'll find in Gatorade and some of these others.
So yes, University of Florida graduate. Thank you for buying Gatorade, because it just gives back to my alma mater. But no, unless you're an athlete sitting on the bench of an NHL team or MLB or NFL, you don't need Gatorade. That's a misnomer. And it's not the same Gatorade from back in the day. When it was in a glass, container, It's now all plastics, and it's got boron and a whole bunch of the crap in there that you don't really need. But yeah, I'm very interested in that. JP, please send me the information. What I was kind of making the face for was, and we can kind of go down this rabbit hole, is protein efficiency. And we may have talked about this before. For nice round numbers, please don't everyone take this legit. But if I were to give you 100 grams of a whey protein, how much do you absorb? 96 to 98% of it, 96 to 98 grams. Not that you would ever do that. Not that I would ever give that to you. But if I give you a plant-based protein, rice, pea, soy, you're only getting roughly 50 to 60% because of protein efficiency, meaning your gut cannot rip those proteins off of that fiber in order to absorb it, like a ruminant animal can, like a cow can, with a 4-chambered gut with special bacteria inside that gut that helps do that. So I have vegans in my practice, love them. They just need to realize, hey, you're not getting as much protein as you think you are. And most vegans, if you really do look at most vegans, they are very thin because they're basically eating their own muscle as they age. JP, you and I did not, and Tim, we did not wake up this morning bald, right? Our hair's been slowly, insidiously been falling out. They will slowly, insidiously be eating their own muscle to get those amino acids in order to survive, right? So they will get thinner over time because of that reason.
I don't know what you're talking about, but look at this head of hair right here. I mean, come on. Look at that thing. That's a lion's mane.
I mean, you're no Scott Reynolds.
You two bald guys, don't put me in that group just yet there, Lugo.
Or Ryan Reynolds at that matter, too, right?
I think JP's as bald as we are. He just hasn't admitted it yet.
100%.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
He needs a razor.
That's pretty much it. I'm not going there just yet. I'm not just yet.
Come on.
So protein deficiency is something that I'm trying to get my kids to eat more protein. What is an easy way to get kids to eat more protein, or somebody who wants to build more muscle to get protein? Are these protein shakes good? Do they absorb what they should? Do they deliver what they say they do?
So the clients I just had right before you, we just had this conversation as they were walking out the door. Try to stay away from the prepackaged Muscle Milk, Premier, those guys. The ingredients aren't as clean as you want them to be. Buy a good quality protein, preferably grass-fed protein, whey protein, and then make your own cocktail. Just because the baristas and the bartenders like specific cocktails doesn't mean you're going to like them. I can refer to anesthesiologists the same way. That's why some people have problems waking up from anesthesia. Make your own protein shake. Don't make a smoothie. Don't throw the whole entire fruit stand in there because you don't want all that glucose, all that sugar and sucrose in there. You want, hey, throw some blueberries, throw some cinnamon in there, maybe throw a little touch of honey in there to give a little bit of sweetness to it, but make your own. Look, they're not going to taste like Oreo cookies. There's a reason why they don't taste like Oreo cookies. It would be too much. So you should be eating real foods such as eggs. Eggs are the superfoods of all superfoods, right? So there's a rare genetic disorder that some people can't eat eggs because of choline. They smell like actually raw, rancid fish. And I actually had a physician in my practice who was a patient of mine who actually had this genetic defect. So we're talking about eggs. He was like, can't eat them. I'm like, really? He's like, oh, genetically. I'm like, okay, yeah. He goes, I smell like nasty fish. I'm like, when he starts to sweat. So those are the unicorns who can't, but otherwise get those kids to eat some eggs. I mean, in any which way you can make them to see if they can enjoy the eggs, but that's the superfoods.
Is it better to eat them scrambled or fried, or does it matter?
Doesn't matter. Just don't cook them in a whole bunch of seed oils. Cook them in real stuff. Cook them in beef tallow, real butter, Kerrygold,
real
something
butter
like that.
Yeah, Kerrygold's what we use. Yeah.
Yeah. So cook them in a decent things.
Awesome.
You know, and you mentioned like real butter, and I think a lot of people still fall into this low fat, all this other stuff. Give them the spiel on that as well.
Yeah, I love the conversation I just had here because she was 68 years old, taught the same things about low-fat diet coming up through the 80s where that came about. So no, it's not about low fat. It's about eating good quality fats. We talk about the avocados. We talk about the coconut oils, the olives, the olive oils. Those are the real things. Staying away from the seed oils. Yes, will I eat a Chick-fil-A sandwich? I'll kill a Chick-fil-A sandwich, but it's not something I'm doing week after week. It's something I'm doing maybe, if that, once every 1 to 2 months. I'm going to give in to my cravings. I'm not going to be this holistic, and that's not me. If I'm in a pinch and I'm going to drill, I'm going to pick up a Chick-fil-A sandwich, probably in Ocala, on the way up to drill. Something quick and easy for me to eat. You've got to be a 4x4 every now and then. You can't be a supercar.
Yeah.
Love Chick-fil-A.
All right, Chris, tell all the folks how they can come to your practice and get all this great information.
Yeah, give me a call, 844-789-2266, which is BAM. Having some issues with the website right now. We got we're doing some updates to it. So give me bear with me on the website, BAMMC.com. I got people go, hey, what's wrong with your website? Doing some updates, so bear with me for the next few days with that one. But if not, call the practice, 844-789-2266.
You can just Google it and get the number there.
Google it, get the number.
Write it down. All right. Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it, brother.
All right, guys. Thanks. Take care.
Thanks, Chris.
All right, TJ is going to join us here, so we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk some Final Four with a man who was there all week, calling some basketball games, doing some hobnobbing around Phoenix, so we'll chat with TJ Reeves when we come back. Stay with us. JP here from my friends at your local Synovus Bank, and I do mean friends, and I do mean local. One of the local managers in Tampa is John Acosta, big fan of the show, and I've known him for over 40 years. He's been in local banking since 1983. You talk about developing relationships. You don't stick around for that long unless you're doing things the right way and have a great reputation. And that's the focus company-wide at Synovus. Big enough to handle any complex international transaction, but small enough to answer the phone when you have an urgent question about your business or personal account. And for personal accounts, they have a very easy app that works great. You can do everything online. And for large or small businesses, you will get that personal touch and services to help build your business, taking your dreams and aspirations from the whiteboard to reality. We can make that happen. Let us show you how. For a get-acquainted meeting to open a business or personal account, just call John or go to synovus.com to find out where your local branch is.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
Is getting a home equity line a good idea right now with rates so high? Well, I put that question to my good friend Scott Fitzgerald at American Mortgage Services, and he says it all depends on where you're at financially. Many of us with ridiculous inflation have been charging up those credit cards, right? At 29% interest, hoping to catch up, but that ain't happening. Those interest payments are killing you. So yes, a consolidation loan and tapping into that crazy equity in your house is a great idea. That strategy can drop your monthly nut by thousands of dollars and stop wasting money on those interest payments. Fitz, the mortgage guy, has done thousands of loans for the past 25 years in Tampa Bay. Just did one for a former colleague who was a manager for a big bank mortgage division. He knows Scott is an independent broker and can get him a way better deal than at his own big bank. AMS Tampa has way lower overhead and gives you the savings. So if you're worried about fees and closing costs, have the free consultation with Scott and look at the actual numbers. It may shock you what he can do. Be smart. Stay one step ahead. Email Fitz at scott@amstampa.com, scott@amstampa, or call 813-294-7595. Scott Fitzgerald, MLS 386722. American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Suite 1020, Hampton.
With over 34 years of producing small and large events, Extravaganza Productions is truly a Tampa treasure when it comes to creating some of the very best events in Tampa and all across the United States. I've worked with them at the Florida Sports Hall of Fame inductions, the Warrior Games, which was an Olympic-sized event spread across all of Tampa Bay. They are the very best, from small meetings to exceptionally large corporate conferences to galas, fundraisers, sporting events, grand openings, whatever you want. Team EPI has an extremely talented staff of designers and show producers that develop extraordinary events fueled by the visions of their clients. You can reach them at their Tampa headquarters at 813-621-4700 or go to extravaganzaproductions.com.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show, brought to you by the great folks at Hydrate Heroes. Just poured a new mix in my mixer cup here, getting hydrated, staying hydrated. So thanks to our great folks at Hydrate Heroes, our presenting sponsor. All right, let's welcome in our good friend TJ Reeves from the great Glendale, Arizona, where you're still hanging out for the Final Four. How was it last night, partner?
I need some of that Hydrate Heroes because I got Hotel Orange Juice right now working, trying on about 2.5 hours sleep. Great to be with you.
Thanks.
This just into the newsroom. UConn's pretty good. Amazing what we have seen these last 2 years. I mean, you can talk about domination. I don't know that does it justice, JP. They just won a second straight national title where nobody came within 13 points in any of the games. That's never happened before, including again last night. I mean, from any different angle, John Wooden's UCLA, Mike Krzyzewski's Duke, I mean, on and on. I know Billy Donovan and the Gators did this in 06 and 07. I know that's the Empire. You don't want to talk about the Empire.
Yeah.
But they had the same players, but they had close calls. They almost lost a couple of the games in those tournaments.
Right.
This team, I didn't go to UConn. I'm not on their PR staff, their SID staff. This is arguably as indestructible a 2-year run as you can point to when nobody came close to beating them last March or this March, my friend.
140 points differential in this tournament. That's a record. That's a record by a large margin. I mean, and you know, I laid the 7 last night. It was never in danger.
Never doubt.
No, you know, and I said this on the show yesterday. It looked a lot like the women's final. You had a team that was highly dependent on one player, and another team that goes 8, 9 deep quality players and had 2 big men that could use up all 10 fouls on Edey, and they used them all just about. So, and even early on, you're like, Edey's getting his, but it's hard. It's hard. He's not going to be able to do this for 40 minutes. No way. And in the end, it was just too much UConn. Just like too much South Carolina.
You bring up the great point. Their attitude was almost like, let him get his. As long as nobody else gets rolling, as long as they don't make 3-pointers. They had only made 1 3-pointer going in. They only made 1 3-pointer for the game. They made 1 3-pointer all the way down the stretch of the second half into the final minutes. It's like they needed 7 or 8 of them at least to have a chance, and UConn didn't let it happen. So it was tremendous to be part of this event. Just to convey to you, I'm right in the shadow of State Farm Stadium here where we're staying in Glendale where the Cardinals play. And I think half of Northern Indiana was here. I mean, Purdue fans galore, no exaggeration. Had to be 50,000 of the 74,000, maybe more. So obviously they're dejected today. There was a lot of downtrodden black and gold in a stupor last night in the middle of the night. I can verify walking around. But look, I kept saying to people, and I've said this morning too, nobody else was beating this team. Houston wasn't going to beat this team. Tennessee wasn't going to beat this team. Iowa State, you can go right down the list. North Carolina, the other number 1 seed that didn't make it to the Final Four. They weren't going to beat these guys either. They weren't. So you take some consolation in that.
Why? Tell me. We want to know the why on this.
Outstanding guards, NBA center in Klingon. And let me relate this. I'm not a small guy. I can be accused of a lot of things. All right. Balding, maybe not the best looking guy, etc. I'm not short. I'm standing next to Donovan Klingon. He's a stinking oak tree. He's that big. And by the way, Zach Edey is like B-movie superhero villain huge. Like you don't want to meet like Thanos or something. You don't want to meet him. And I'm talking about I'm around them and I'm doing this. I'm doing this in the tunnel on how big they are. You can't convey how big those dudes are, banging with each other out there. And that's what the NBA is. That's what Zach Edey's got to get ready. He's got a Donovan Klingon every night in the NBA. But I think I texted this to you. That was kind of like an NBA showcase a little bit for him last night, that I can play at the next level in the low post. Can he go out on the perimeter and do anything? No. But if you're gonna run your offense inside out, go to him and kick it back out. Timmy's an NBA guy with the Mavericks in Dallas. If you're gonna run inside out, you can get it to him and kick it back out, or play through him in the low post some. I don't know. I don't know if Edey does much, but incredible run for him of 7 straight tournament games going back to last year, 20 points, 10 rebounds in every game. So he was tremendous, but they didn't have nearly enough to beat UConn, period.
And that was going to be my question for you, TJ, is, the NBA doesn't utilize big men the way they used to.
That's right.
You don't have big, tall, dominant centers anymore. You've got guys that work the inside that also need to work the perimeter.
If you can't handle it and you can't create your shot, even at 6'10", or even a little bigger, forget it. So I mean, you're in the part of the world with Wembanyama. He is 7'1". He's around where Donovan Klingon and Edey are height-wise, but he plays out on the perimeter and handles the ball. It's a different NBA. I agree with you, my friend.
So that's why I'm wondering, and in most college teams, especially the good ones, utilize the big men like that. You still have that type of offense in the college game. So Edey and Klingon, are their games going to translate to the NBA? I mean,
probably not unless you're going to play again low post inside out. Feed it to them and kick it back out, and maybe they're role players. I don't know.
Well, see,
but,
that's the thing, though, TJ. Who's going to guard Edey? You got a bunch of 6'9", 6'10" guys on lots of teams. There aren't a lot of, there aren't a lot of guys like him. Now he might be a defensive liability when he's trying to guard Wembanyama out, on the 3-point line. That's not going to go well. But I think he's got a skill set down low that can be used in the NBA. Is he going to be a superstar? No, he's not going to be a superstar. But he's going to get you. I think he's going to get you 16, 17 a game and at least 11 boards. I'll take that. I'll take that all day long.
Sure. And again, it's just a thrill to be part of this event. I've been telling this story. I got to be as a fan at the 92 Duke repeat in the Metrodome in Minneapolis. My joke there is on the fan ticket, I was in the upper deck in the Kirby Puckett seats at the Metrodome, where Christian Laettner and Chris Webber looked like little miniature toys
Didn't
that
look
you
much
used to play
different
with.
last night either.
I was closer at the hotel than the Metrodome in 92, but I was there. And then I covered for Sirius XM. I was there for the Gators back-to-back in 07 in the Georgia Dome. Now I'm here for this tonight. So it's not lost on me that it's a privilege to be, or last night. It's not lost on me that it's a privilege to be at these events. It's a lot of fun with the college hoops. And what's interesting is the women's Final Four coming to Tampa Bay again, coming on the rotation next year with all the excitement we saw with Caitlin Clark. Will it sustain? It's not going to sustain at that level without her. But they are probably now at a level where instead of 2 million people or 3 million people are watching their biggest games, it's probably 6 or 7 million people because that much has been introduced. And maybe it increases enough if there's a big enough storyline that it's 8, 10, 12 million people. Again, do not be surprised when the ratings come in here because it was not a close game with UConn, that the women's championship game Sunday afternoon, Network TV, you know how this works, outrated the men's game on cable.
No, I don't. But the semifinal did 16 million people.
Correct. Jesus. And network TV versus cable is still a big deal. But that game wasn't as close a game. Let's be honest. Caitlin Clark, transcendent, ultra popular, even with non-sports fans, females that are watching this that don't even care about sports, that wanted to see the curiosity factor. Young girls that are now engaged with their parents wanting to watch this, not going to necessarily be the same next go around for the women's NCAA, but it is interesting that it will come back around to Tampa Bay where it's been several times. So yes, these events now that this weekend, they have locked up this weekend for the foreseeable future. Friday night, Sunday women's, men's Saturday and Monday. It's good to be the NCAA, and what a great time of year with the Masters coming this week, which I know you're a big golf guy talking that, NFL draft coming, baseball underway. There's a ton. There's no doubt. There's a ton.
It's a good time to be a sports fan for sure. Yeah.
Timmy, you had some thoughts on Caitlin Clark, right? And I'll run these by TJ as well.
Lay it on me, brother. Lay it on me.
So JP, you said yesterday you watched the game on your phone on the flight, right? But you could only get the alternate broadcast that had was it Rebecca Lobo and
Sue Bird and Diana Taurasi, right?
Okay.
They were on ESPN.
They could not crap on Caitlin Clark enough, and about how when she gets to the WNBA, she's in for a rude awakening.
And that's probably true, by the way. That's and they both played at the highest level of the WNBA. So let's distinguish between two things. When they're talking about that, they are experts because they lived it. And Taurasi, I heard her expound on that. I had to get used to this because suddenly you got somebody, and she's talking about 15, 20 years ago. Suddenly you got somebody that's the best defender maybe that year in college basketball that's now in the WNBA every night guarding you. So she was, I'm paraphrasing, but she was like, it was tough for me. And Sue Bird's like, yeah, it's tough for me. It was tough for her. And they're both all-stars that won titles. Okay, I get that. But now do you want the second track, which is, have we gotten enough of the UConn media mafia between those two and Rebecca Lobo and anybody else coming out of the caves and out from under the rocks to talk about the greatest female scorer in women's college basketball ever has been playing the last 2 years? And no, she wasn't part of a UConn all-star team that won multiple national championships. She was basically carrying that team this year that lost 3 players from its runner-up team last year, and she still smashed records everywhere. She's incredibly talented offensively. So I just got a little tiresome from the UConn media mafia.
Well, and Rebecca
in your
Lobo,
corner.
right after the semifinal, right after, she goes on SVP, and SVP takes the bait as well.
Yeah.
And they're all saying what a terrible call this was. And it shouldn't have called that at the end of the game. The clear moving screen with an elbow to the chin. I mean, and Rebecca says it had nothing to do with the play. Like, what are you talking about?
I saw you tweeting that. I saw you tweeting that.
What are you talking about?
Again, UConn media mafia.
And that's all anti-Caitlin Clark bullcrap.
But the other thing is, you're expecting the UConn media mafia to concede that Paige Beckers wasn't going to be wide open for the game-winning shot in the Final Four on that screen.
Right.
Not an insignificant play, and she's going to be wide open to take the winning shot.
A courageous call is what it is.
But it's a call. So I lean on my father, who may be watching this right now back in Tampa Bay. He may be bored immensely, and he's like, okay, what's my son doing? Okay, he's on with JP. I'm going to quote him because he refereed for a long time at the highest level of high school and even junior college in Tennessee, and I've reffed some, and you've reffed some, not at the highest levels, but he always has said this. There are certain things, that's the call 100 times out of 100. 100 times out of 100, you have to call that foul there. I don't care what the UConn media mafia says because it affected the winning shot opportunity. Sorry, you have to call that. She's moving. She's got a chicken wing arm, and it's freeing Paige Beckers. Have I said it 8 times already? I'm sorry. For the winning shot, you have to call that. So, again, Caitlin Clark has sparked debates like what this is. There's now interest in this. But for the love of all that's holy, nobody else has scored more than what she scored in a career or in a single season or in a single NCAA tournament. She passes the ball like a wizard. That's going to help her at the next level. She's an incredible, instinctive passer of the basketball. Is she going to be a WNBA superstar and multi-time world champion? I don't know. Probably not. But does that diminish what we've seen the last 2 years of growing the women's game? Absolutely not, brother.
No. And good for her. Good for her. I watched more women's college basketball this season than I've ever watched in my life that I ever thought I would watch.
And you're not alone. You're not alone. By the hundreds and thousands and by the millions, there are plenty that watched multiple games, maybe even beginning to end, involving her. UConn is crying in their figurative beer because she has been a cash cow right now for that program in terms of donation, ticket sales. I mean, they have had a staggering run of sellouts and huge revenue from it being there. So it's helped the whole thing. And we've just spent 5 or 6 minutes. We just spent 5 or 6 minutes talking about it. It tells you how big a deal it is.
Do you think it translates to the WNBA? Because I don't think it does.
No.
I don't think it does.
No, because it's not the same thing, and it's going to be this summer, and it's not the NCAA tournament. There will be interest around her when she is playing. All right, there will be. But there's not going to be 13 million people watching a key regular season WNBA game. No. Not going to happen.
And you know what I said on our show last night on the Colby Sapp and IndyCar Tim show right here on FanStream Sports? I
Very
said,
nice plug. Very
I
nice.
said, when Caitlin Clark is in the WNBA, and then had to stop myself during the show and had to confirm that Dallas still has a WNBA team because I wasn't sure. If Caitlin Clark comes to not Dallas but Arlington, where all the pro Dallas teams plays in Arlington now, dude, I might be inclined to catch a ticket and go watch Caitlin Clark play on the opposing team against our Dallas Wings that I had to confirm.
You weren't sure if they were still playing, but they're still there, and you're right. And how many thousands in different cities will go watch this at the beginning? So we're not poo-pooing that there's going to be interest. Of course there's going to be interest. Of course there's going to be a few million people watch. Just settle down with the expectation that when the Indiana Fever, her team, are playing, I don't know, do the Minnesota Lynx still exist? I think they do. I believe they do. When the Indiana Fever's in that late May, early June weeknight matchup with the Minnesota Lynx, there's not going to be 15 million people watching that game. It's the NCAA tournament that helped drive some of this.
Breaking news, I can't confirm the Minnesota Lynx still exist.
Confirmed on the JP show here.
All right, Part. Any celebrity sightings out there?
Yes, all over the place. Drew Brees and Bill Murray had the ultimate face-off in the arena on the video boards. Brees in his Purdue old school jersey in the student section. Murray's nephew is a member of the staff. UConn, I think he's a manager on the UConn. So Murray is standing there with his hat flipped up, and they start playing Caddyshack. Kenny Loggins, I'm all right. And he like lowers down, and Jim Calhoun is sitting there, the iconic UConn coach, and he starts doing this around Calhoun. Then they're showing Drew Brees flexing. So they had a whole video off there in the arena. So those were two of the prominent ones that were there in the arena last night. And again, I can't convey to you enough, because I know you got to go. It's a privilege to be at these events. I mean, this is I believe it's the best event in sports, because it's 3 weekends that it captivates America. And at the final weekend, you get 4 teams and 3 games. We love the NFL, but the NFL builds to 1 game with 2 teams. We love, if you love baseball, it builds to 2 teams playing a 7-game series. If you love the NHL, the same thing. The Stanley Cup, it builds to two teams, and you got 7 games. In this case, you got 1 game elimination, 4 team fan bases, and it never disappoints on drama, excitement, storylines, crazy. So it was great to be here, and now I got to make my way back from the desert, reintroduce myself to the family. I've not been around them, including the dog. I am told the dog has given up all hope that I would return since I've been gone for more than 3 days. The dog has been staring out the window until like Sunday, and the dog gave up any hope that I'm going to be back. So I am looking forward to being back with you, because we'll talk about this. We'll talk about the Buccaneers, the draft and much more in coming weeks, my friend.
So real quick, in the interest of giving proper credit, Bill Murray's son, Luke Murray, is an assistant UConn coach. He's a big up-and-comer in the college
basketball so it's his son,
staff.
Luke.
And Luke is the designer of the UConn offense. That is his offense.
And by the way, talk about somebody that's going to be on the rise in coaching with the way that they execute and they cut without the ball in that offense. Hello. And Bill Murray still has the fastball with the humor and the whole bit. It's hard to believe Caddyshack's 45 years old. God, right. And they just redid Ghostbusters, and that's 40 years old from our collective youth.
Yeah.
On that note, I raise my orange juice again. I bid you farewell. I'll make my way back to Tampa Bay. You boys behave.
Safe travels, my friend. Safe travels.
My friend. We'll see you soon.
There he goes.
All right. Yeah. But speaking of safe travels, so we're going over here a little bit, but I got just real funny. So I'm getting on the jetway. Like I'm leaving, Denver in the morning, and I see on the news the video of the engine peeling away the sheet metal. Do you see that on the Southwest?
Yeah.
Southwest flight out of Denver. The video of someone just watching the sheet metal on the engine just absolutely evaporate. And then turn around, come back, everybody's fine. So Ashley sends me this story, and she knows I'm about to board a Southwest flight out of Denver. Sends me the video. Like I haven't seen it yet, right? I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You don't send that to somebody as getting on a plane.
Yeah.
But, that's her sense of humor. So
gotta love it.
Like funny. I'm sitting next to me. I'm like, and I'm starting to laugh as I'm looking at this on my phone as I just sit down next to my seat buddy. And I said, I said, I'm sorry, I'm laughing, but my fiance just sent me this, and he's like, what? Sent you what? I'm like, I can't show it to you. I can't show it to you.
Just don't.
I can't show. He's like, what? I said, did you see what happened on the Southwest plane earlier today? He's like, no. I'm like, well, then don't worry about it.
Yeah, you don't
so that he's like on his phone, Southwest flight. I like here. See if he can't find it. There it is. He's like, oh Jesus. Anyway, all right.
Bad.
Thanks to all our guests today. Scott Reynolds, who joined us today. Chris Lugo, who joined us today. Johnny Gerber from the Rough Podcast. Tomorrow we'll have his final picks on FanStream Sports, so check that out. And, of course, TJ Reeves. Always fun to have him on as well. We'll be back tomorrow with more fun and frivolity. We'll see you then. Have a great day, everybody.